Okay, so when we're accessing a Linux system, we access it through consoles. So we have two types of consoles. We have physical consoles, which is if you're at the physical machine. You have physical consoles, which are normally TTY1 through to TTY6, which stands for teletype, which isn't all that relevant anymore anyway to today's standards because we've got computer monitors, but you can change between them using the Control Alt and then an F key, like F1, F2, F3, so on. So the graphical console will normally be on either TTY1 or TTY7, depending on the system. Now on CentOS and Red Hat Enterprise, it is on 1, but a lot of other systems will have it on 7. Now, if we wanted to change to a physical text console on the virtual machine, what we can do is we could press Control Alt and say F2. To help if my virtual machine has focus. Okay, so Control Alt F2 will take us to a text console where we can log in with our user training and the password. And you can see that if we type in a command like ls, then it will do a directory listing. So it's like a basic text console where we can type. Now if we were to press Control Alt F3, it would take us to another one where we could log in as say root, and we can type our password in, and you can see here you got root at localhost. The tilde is shorthand for the home directory of the user, and the hash is like a visual indicator that you are root. But if we go to Control Alt F2, you can see that we're training at localhost. We're in our home directory, so the tilde is shorthand for the home directory, and the dollar is sort of like a visual indicator that you're the normal user. Now, if we wanted to go back to our graphical user interface, we could go Control Alt F1 on CentOS. On other systems, it may be F7. So that's demonstrating the physical consoles using the Control Alt. Now you also have change the virtual terminal command, chvt. So if we wanted to, we could go to Control F2, and we're in virtual terminal 2 at the moment. So if we type tty, we can see that we're at dev tty2, but if we wanted to, we could go chvt number 4, for example, and it will take us to number 4 where we need to log in. So we can type training and password. Did I type it wrong? Where we've logged in. Now if we wanted to, we could go chvt2. We're already logged into that one, and we're back. So instead of pressing the Control Alt F2, we can type the chvt2. Instead of going Control Alt F1, we could go like that, and now you can see that we've changed back using the command. Now, in addition to the physical consoles, which you generally won't use because you'll be logging into either a remote server in a data center, or you may have them in the server room of your office, what we have is what we call pseudo consoles. Now, pseudo consoles is the same as what you would use by bringing up a terminal. So we can, here you have a terminal window, and if we type tty, you can see that we're dev pts/0. Now, if I was to open another tab, type tty, now you can see that we're 1. And if we open another tab, you can see that it's 2, 1, 0. So every time we open up a pseudo terminal, it will create a new pseudo terminal for us. Now if I type IP address show, okay, so we can see that we're number 4. Okay, so now I'm going to take this out of full screen mode and I'm going to bring in a terminal for my Mac. Now if I wanted to, I could go SSH 19 training 192.168.0.4 and you can see that this is PTS3. Even though I'm SSHing in across the network, it's still a pseudo terminal. So it doesn't matter whether it's a graphical terminal or an SSH session, it's still a pseudo terminal. And if we type who, you can see all the different users that are on the system. And you can see here that the :0 for the graphical, you got, that's the main window there. For the Control-Alt-F1 window, you can see here this is a pseudo terminal 0. So the :0 is the X11 session. So these are the GNOME terminals. And you can see here that this number 3 in brackets has the network address of IP address 2, which is the computer I'm doing the training from. So the pseudo terminals is basically for any sort of SSH connection, which is the main way you'll probably administer most of your systems, but it's also the GNOME terminals. Control D will log me out of there, and you can see that I'm on the Mac Pro, and you can see that the Mac is actually a Unix system underneath as well. It has the same sort of things as a Linux computer, so it's got the host name, :tilde for my home directory, the username for my computer IRWA82, and then a $sign says that I am a normal user. Now if I was to SU to a root user, whoops, wrong password. Actually on a Mac I don't think the root user is set up, but if I go sudo -s, now you can see that in the sudo shell I have the hash for the root sudo shell. So on a Mac computer you don't have a root user set up for security reasons. That's why I couldn't get into it. I don't normally try to become root on Mac. I normally use sudo. The same for Linux. When I'm using Linux, I normally just use sudo. I don't become root. But you can see that Mac under the hood is Linux. It is very similar to the Linux commands because Linux is a Unix clone. Alright, so let me just check my slides. So I wanted to give you the who command and the w command for this particular slide as well. Alright, so we've looked at the who command, which just shows you who's on the system, and you can see all the different connections. The w command will actually show me a lot more, and that is normal in a Unix tradition. A smaller command will give you more output. So you can see the user, the terminal, where it's from, the login time, how long it's been idle, and sort of what commands has been run. So I think that will be it for this particular video.